Greetings and hello. The false threat narrative that women are in constant fear for their lives around men is one of the biggest lies that feminism peddles. It asserts that men are so much more socially dominant that they use every chance they get to intimidate women. The second assumption is that it assumes that men are wanting to beat women down, just for no other reason than the victim being female. In reality, this almost never happens and is just a lie to smear and attack men. Of course, since this comes from feminists and thus women, they are looking to attack men every chance they get. If it means greatly distorting reality, then so be it. Feminists and thus women only care about disenfranchising men for their own personal gain. This is called an in-group bias, which is exclusively held by women. Women want the company of women, and men are only there to be usurped for utility by women. Threat narratives like the one that women are always afraid of men arise because of this. The fact that women have contempt for men does not register in the mind of the regular man, so he naively falls for this attack. A second reason is that these feminist or tradcon men hate other men as well. Thus they are looking to demonize their own sex to have a chance to up their status for the goal. All of it is based around elevating female privilege and attacking men out of spite. This particular threat narrative assumes that men are inherently violent. This has been proven false, as women are the gender that instigates 70% of domestic violence. The gynocentric media ignores the large frame of violence from women and makes it seem the opposite way to perpetuate the feminist narrative. It paints the picture of men being angry and brutish, while women being innocent, perfect angels. In addition to this, women are also let go for many crimes, which translates to them being buried further down because of female privilege. A second part to this assumption is that women are oppressed by men. This again comes down to the false patriarchy framing. It goes back to the lie that men are inherently violent and want to bash women anytime. The lie goes like this: because men want to dominate and control women, they are willing to use any force to do it. This is a lie, as men are willing to do anything for women and receive nothing in return. Who is prioritized in emergencies, who receives the most government funding, and which gender is protected by social duty? It is obviously not men, who are demonized for everything they do, receive very minimal support, if any, and are told to man up and face their suffering without complaining. Of course, feminists will fall back on the patriarchy again because of the lie that men are in control of everything. It is actually women who pull the strings behind nearly every male action. Men are the ones who have to fit women's demands to bribe a partner. So thus, women only select and support men who favor them and give them privilege. So there is no patriarchy involved here, just female nature. Also, where are all the women who support such hypothetical supportive initiatives for men? Nowhere, because men are the ones who love women, not the other way around. Any attempt at getting men actual help is derailed and attacked by feminists. These feminists are the patriarchy they claim they are oppressed by. They use every and any opportunity to spit in the face of men. This is due to women's inherent contempt for men and their entitlement to use men for their own purposes. So no, men do not beat women down any chance they get, quite the opposite. They worship and adore them to the point of calling them goddesses. Women are in fact the ones who are pampered and taken care of by society, not men. This is further evidenced by how stay-at-home mothers are seen as normal, but the opposite are shamed and told that they are not real men providing for their women. So both lies behind the idea that women are afraid of men have been dismissed, which leads us to our next point. Women are the ones who demand male sacrifice and usury, even though men may be the ones who legally enforce it, due to fear of deselection from women. Women are the people who are pulling the strings. They select men who will attack other men and steal their resources. This is out of female social dominance, where the woman has an instinct to attack and destroy men. Except she does this through gynocentric men, in other words the law. Women are the ones who want to destroy men, not vice versa. This is because they gain coddlement and enhanced treatment due to gaining privilege. Privileging something requires neglecting and taking away from the other thing. In reality, it is men being the victims of women's attacks and predatory behavior. If a man behaved towards women as women behave toward men, he would be ostracized by society to the highest level and deemed a misogynist. This goes to the second point, that men are much more likely to be the targets of crime than women. There is a stigma against attacking and targeting women, as even men outside the law are gynocentric. Even society's laws of never hit a woman apply here. Men love women to the point that even the most truly violent men adore and worship women. If this does not tell you the extent that feminists are willing to lie of women being afraid of men, then I do not know what other evidence to bring up. Men would be far better off walking with a woman than vice versa. Even feminists will admit these statistics are true, but resort to other lies. They will say that men do much more damage on average than women. Again, this is rebutted from the very statistic they are trying to hide. Since women are not very often targeted for crimes, this won't even apply, as criminals won't choose women to attack, on top of treating them lighter if they do, since they still run on gynocentric programming. To also throw in the trash the fallacy that this comes from abusive fathers, fathers treat their daughters with kids' gloves too. In fact, fathers are willing to murder other men to maintain the pure image of their daughter, even if false accusations are involved. Fathers bend over backwards to pamper their daughters, and do anything and everything to pamper them. And if anyone is abused more, it would always be boys. So feminists have no ground to be attacking men. Another thing is that women, both mothers, wives, girlfriends and strangers, feel entitled to strike and hit men. This is universal, as they will condemn a man for hitting a woman back, as she or anyone else deserves for laying their hands on someone else. There have been many recordings of women attacking and punching around men, while the men do nothing out of fear of being punished by white knights or the law. This explicitly shows the dynamic between men and women, as women are allowed to trespass men without consequences, and men are punished for just being there, not only trying to defend themselves. It illustrates just how fearless women are when it comes to dealing with men. This outright debunks the idea that women are constantly being scared of men, as you would never unprovokedly strike a person you fear, which women feel entitled to hit men all the time. With all of the foundations of the lie that women are afraid of men debunked, where does this leave us? At the fact that this is a false smear by feminists and women to attack the male sex. It is to further disenfranchise men through the demands of women. Not because of safety or anything, out of spite and exertion of social dominance. The female instinct is to control and manipulate men to privilege her, and if it means men getting hurt, so be it. So it is meant to be an intentionally malicious attack against the male sex. Any woman who says that she is afraid of men, even though her experience is otherwise, as proven before, is a man-hater. Every single woman who claims this should be responsible for the lynchings of men that take place. This is about as serious as false rape accusations, because they endanger men due to hordes of gynocentric white knights. Women know they have the power to command such men, and they use it to exert their social dominance to attack innocent men, which is criminal. Women know men die from false accusations. On top of this, anti-male policies are enforced based on this lie, which lead to the disenfranchisement of men. So feminists lying about men creating men's problems is false. It is women who attack men and deselect those men who do not comply with their demands to attack other men. Everything feminists do and accuse men of is based on the opposite, themselves. It also enables women to attack men, on top of the threat from gynocentric women worshippers. Women can use that lie which has been ingrained into society to stomp and physically attack innocent men. Those innocent men will also not be able to fight back, as gynocentric courts always see the man as the aggressor. So more men will be harmed at the hands of women with any number of weapons. And to those laughing at this, you are tradcons who think women should beat on men wherever possible, so stop this video and click off, because this channel is dedicated to fighting for the human rights of men. Women already have the impunity to ruthlessly attack men from all sides. This is proven by female criminals being let go, higher rates of female on male domestic violence, and rampant false accusations. So it is men who need to be afraid of women, not the other way around. And the feminists who say that if a man thinks about getting falsely accused, that he is going to do something to a woman. This is victim blaming, as totally innocent men have been falsely accused, so the feminist movement needs to be put behind bars for promoting attacking men. Men are not safe from women's social dominance anywhere. This is because gynocentrism is universal and women are always believed over men. The women just want to exert their dominance and be able to enable more violence against men. This is what women and feminists want, men serving women while suffering as much as possible. And for one reason alone, which has nothing to do with safety, spite. Feminism is a hate movement against the male sex. It attacks men wherever possible and uses any excuse to disenfranchise and make men suffer. Feminists enjoy this as that is their goal, to have women be able to fully exert their social dominance and make men suffer whenever they want to. If such speech were targeted at race instead of the male sex, there would be outrage and it would be considered racism. But the gender KKK uses the gynocentrism already instilled in people's minds to treat men like how blacks were treated in the 1800s. Feminism matches all the criteria of a hate movement. Firstly, it attacks a group based on a singular characteristic of their sex. Secondly, it spreads lies and hateful propaganda against men. And thirdly, it actively uses its power and influence to disenfranchise the target group. This is why I think of anyone that identifies as a feminist as if they were slave owners, because they are. They want to subjugate men fully to women's control. They are lower than mold forming at the edge of a room. You can easily remove the mold and fix the area, but feminists and feminism cause unparalleled damage to men both physically and mentally, which has perpetuated androcide, or the purposeful killing of men. It is a deliberate plot to spite and make men suffer or die. Any man who still gives credence to such a movement after this is truly in psychosis and has been severely whipped by his female masters. Women have never been in danger from men, as men break their backs to pander to them. Anyone who claims that they are just wants men to suffer under false attacks and is enabling androcide. Men watching this video have to know what your enemy is, and that is feminism and any form of gynocentrism. It is a symbiote which blends into the environment and turns into a ruthless alien ready to destroy the human race, in this case the male sex. If gynocentrism keeps its heels dug into power and men do nothing out of attempts to pander to women, men as a whole are in for much worse, and the androcide will continue.